All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever looked around and just felt like most people, even the ones working their tails off, are kind of stuck? They're making a decent living, but they never seem to really get ahead. Well, today, we're going to break down the unconventional blueprint for creating some real separation.
In this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head, right? This is the core of the whole problem. So many people are out there running a race they literally cannot win. And it's not because they aren't trying hard enough. It's because they're playing by a set of rules that are completely outdated.
So it all boils down to this one simple, powerful truth. If you want a result that's in the top 1%, you just can't follow the playbook that the other 99% are using. This isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. It's about playing a different game entirely.
So let's talk about this trap. What exactly is the 99% trap? Because, you can't escape a trap if you don't even know you're in it. Okay, so on the one hand, you've got the standard playbook. Work harder, passively consume content, be reactive with your finances. But on the other hand, we have this unconventional blueprint, and it's all about one word: leverage. We're talking strategic leverage, deliberate learning, and proactive systems that do the heavy lifting for you.
Okay, so let's break down the first big decision. And this one is the foundation for everything else. It all starts with your greatest asset, your own mind.
And it's called the 5-hour rule. It's so simple, but it is incredibly powerful. The rule is this: 1 hour every single workday is dedicated to deliberate learning. And let's be clear, this is not about mindlessly scrolling through your feed or binge watching another series. We're talking about focused study, reading game-changing books, taking courses that give you real skills, and breaking down how successful people operate. Now, just think about that for a second. What does that really add up to? In just 1 year, that simple habit turns into 250 hours of high-value, focused learning. That's the equivalent of more than 6 full 40-hour work weeks dedicated only to making yourself smarter and more capable.
And that, right there, is where the leverage comes in. You're not just learning, you're building an intellectual asset. You're literally building an asset inside your own head. Over time, this compounding knowledge lets you develop skills that are both rare and valuable. And that is the exact recipe for commanding a higher income and seeing opportunities that, honestly, most people just missed.
All right, so as your brain gets smarter and your earning power goes up, you need a system to make sure that money is actually working for you. Which brings us to our second big decision: automating your wealth. So, let's talk about the pay your future self first system. See, most people get paid, they spend their money, and then they try to save whatever's left over at the end of the month. This system flips that completely on its head. Your savings and your investments, they become a mandatory automated bill that gets paid the second your paycheck lands. It's proactive, not reactive.
So how does it actually work? Well, it's a super simple 3-step process that kicks in automatically. The day you get paid. Step 1, a mandatory slice goes straight to your investments. Step 2, another mandatory chunk goes to attacking any high-interest debt you have. And Step 3, a mandatory piece goes to building up your emergency fund. Then, and only then, do you live off of what's left.
So, what's the magic number for your investments? Where do you start? A minimum of 15%. And look, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. You set it up as a non-negotiable rule in your system. You automate a transfer of at least 15% of your income into your investments. No willpower, no excuses, it just happens.
And that's the absolute game changer here. This system takes your biggest financial weakness, your own willpower, completely out of the equation. It makes building wealth an automated, inevitable outcome, not something you have to struggle with every single day. Okay, so your knowledge is compounding, your money is automated. Now it's time to tackle your most precious, non-renewable resource, your time. This is decision number 3. And the concept here is called time arbitrage. It's such a cool idea. It's a simple trade. You take the hours you would have spent on low-value, passive stuff, like mindlessly scrolling social media or binging another series, and you reinvest that time into creating a high-value, scalable asset. We're talking about something like a digital product, an online course, or a specialized YouTube channel.
The leverage you get from this is it's insane. Think about it. You build an asset one time and it can work for you, making money 24/7 even while you sleep. So while most people are stuck in a linear trap, trading their time for money, you're building systems where your wealth can grow exponentially. All right, this brings us to our fourth and final decision. And honestly,
This might be the most powerful one of all, because it acts like a multiplier on everything else we've talked about. It's time to upgrade your network.
I want you to really let this quote sink in for a minute. Your entire reality, what you think, what you aim for, even how much you earn, it is a direct reflection of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And this isn't some fluffy self-help quote. It's a fundamental law of how we operate.
So what's the game plan? How do you actually do this? Well, first, you got to do a ruthless audit of your network. Then, you actively seek out mentors. You join paid communities and masterminds where the high achievers are. You start making it your mission to talk to people who are solving much bigger problems than you are.
Why does this work? Because proximity is power. It's that simple. When you're around the top 1%, you get access to opportunities that nobody else sees. You get to shortcut your learning curve by years. And maybe, most importantly, it just completely shatters your old beliefs about what's possible and sets a whole new baseline for your own success.
So, when you start to stack all 4 of these decisions on top of each other, something really profound starts to happen. You realize you're not just trying to win the old game anymore. You're playing a completely different one.
And that's the whole blueprint, right? 4 key pillars. 1, you systematically compound your knowledge. 2, you automate your finances to guarantee success. 3, you leverage your free time to build assets that work for you. And 4, you deliberately, consciously upgrade your environment.
If you take away just one thing from all this, let it be this. Outperforming 99% of people is not an accident. The separation, the real tangible progress, it starts the exact moment you decide to stop playing by their rules and start playing by these new ones. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge, a question to act on, like right now. Forget everything else for a second and just focus on that first decision. What is the single most valuable skill you are going to commit your learning hour to starting this week? Your answer to that question, that's your first move in this new game.